Just imagine, you're sailing in seemingly calm waters when suddenly, 50-foot waves appear out of nowhere. 150-mile-per-hour winds turn the sea into a veritable liquid hell, and oil platforms weighing thousands of tons are tossed about like toys by nature. Welcome to the North Sea, one of the most treacherous and deadly bodies of water on planet Earth. Today, we'll discover together why these icy waters between Great Britain, Norway, Denmark, and other European countries have become synonymous with danger, death, and one of the greatest adventures in human engineering. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling me what time you're watching this video. Your interaction is essential for me to continue bringing you content like this. The North Sea wasn't born dangerous. In fact, millions of years ago, this region was completely different from what we know today. During ice ages, much of this area was covered by massive glaciers that completely shaped the seabed. When these glaciers melted, they created a unique environment, relatively shallow waters in some regions, with drastically varying depths, complex ocean currents, and a climate that can change from relatively calm to absolutely devastating in a matter of hours. The geography of the North Sea is, in itself, a recipe for disaster. Located between the continental masses of Europe and the British Isles, it acts as a natural funnel where different weather systems meet and collide. Warm Atlantic currents collide with cold Arctic waters, creating extremely unstable weather conditions. It's as if nature deliberately designed a laboratory to test the limits of human endurance. But what truly makes the North Sea deadly isn't just its natural characteristics. It's the combination of these characteristics and intense human activity that has turned these waters into a liquid minefield. Since medieval times, these waters have been a vital trade route for Europe. Ships laden with precious goods regularly traverse these waters, often paying the ultimate price for their daring. During the Middle Ages, fishermen were already aware of the sinister reputation of these waters. Sudden storms could arise, without warning, turning a routine fishing expedition into a fight for survival. Historical records are replete with accounts of vessels that simply disappeared, swallowed by the North Sea's raging waves. Coastal communities developed traditions and superstitions surrounding these waters, treating them with the fearful respect reserved only for the most unpredictable forces of nature. The age of steam navigation brought new dangers. Larger, heavier ships meant that when something went wrong, the consequences were proportionally more devastating. The sinking of the RMS Titanic may have occurred in the Atlantic, but the North Sea had its own maritime tragedies that, while less well known, were equally devastating for the families and communities involved. During both world wars, the North Sea became a theater of intense military operations. German submarines patrolled these waters, hunting Allied convoys. Naval mines floated like deadly seeds of destruction, ready to explode at the slightest contact. Warships clashed in epic battles, adding the horrors of war to the already present natural dangers. Aircraft pilots who crashed into these icy waters had very little chance of survival, even if they managed to emerge unscathed from the initial impact. But it was in the second half of the 20th century that the North Sea truly earned its modern reputation as one of the most dangerous waters in the world. The discovery of vast reserves of oil and natural gas beneath the seabed transformed these waters into a new frontier for energy exploration. Suddenly, companies around the world were willing to invest billions of dollars to extract these precious resources from the treacherous depths. The construction of the first oil platforms in the North Sea was one of the greatest engineering adventures in human history. Imagine trying to build an industrial city in the middle of a temperamental ocean, where storms can last for weeks and 20-meter waves are a relatively common occurrence. Engineers had to develop entirely new technologies to deal with these unique challenges. The platforms needed to be designed to withstand not only extreme weather conditions, but also the seismic forces of the seabed. The North Sea is not geologically stable. Undersea earthquakes, while not extremely common, can occur and cause catastrophic damage to poorly designed structures. Furthermore, the seabed in many areas is composed of relatively soft sediments, making anchoring these massive structures an extraordinary challenge. The logistics of keeping these platforms operational are a constant nightmare. Supplies must be transported by helicopters or specialized vessels, regardless of the weather conditions. Workers must be evacuated quickly in emergencies, but this isn't always possible when severe storms make any form of transportation impossible. Often, teams are isolated for days or even weeks, completely dependent on the resources available on the platform. One of the most frightening aspects of working in the North Sea are the so-called anomalous waves, or giant waves. These waves can reach heights of 20, 30, or even 40 meters, appearing seemingly out of nowhere even in conditions that don't seem particularly severe. For a long time, these waves were considered the stuff of maritime legends. But modern technology has proven that they not only exist, but are more common than previously thought. These giant waves are formed by a complex combination of factors: ocean currents, winds, seabed topography, and even interference between different wave systems. The result is a wall of water that can easily swallow entire vessels or cause severe structural damage to oil platforms. The unpredictability of these waves makes it impossible to adequately prepare for them, creating a constant state of tension. Among those working in these waters, the North Sea's climate is notoriously unstable. Low-pressure systems can form and rapidly intensify, creating storms that rival tropical hurricanes in intensity. The difference is that, unlike hurricanes, these storms don't follow predictable movement patterns. They can remain stationary over an area for days, subjecting everything in the region to constant, destructive winds. During winter, conditions become even more dangerous. Ice formation on exposed structures can add thousands of tons of extra weight to platforms and ships, dangerously shifting their center of gravity. Safety equipment can freeze and fail at the most critical moment. Hypothermia becomes a deadly threat to anyone exposed to the elements, even briefly. The North Sea's marine fauna also presents its own unique dangers. Giant jellyfish, some with tentacles that can reach several meters in length, are common at certain times of the year, while rarely fatal to humans. Their stings can cause excruciating pain and severe allergic reactions. For divers and workers who may come into contact with the water, these creatures pose an additional significant threat. Sharks, while not extremely common in the North Sea, are present, and some are species that can pose a danger to humans. More concerning are the unpredictable underwater currents that can drag divers away from their operating bases or trap them in submerged structures. Acoustic pollution caused by intense industrial operations has also created a hostile environment for marine life, altering animal behavior patterns, which in some cases can become more aggressive or unpredictable. Whales disoriented by industrial noise have been responsible for accidents involving smaller vessels. Communication challenges in the North Sea are another critical aspect that contributes to its danger. Its reputation, severe weather conditions, can drastically disrupt radio and satellite communication systems. During intense storms, platforms and ships can be completely cut off from the outside world for hours or even days. This means that, in the event of an emergency, rescue teams may not even be aware of a problem until it's too late. GPS technology can also be affected by extreme weather conditions, making accurate navigation extremely difficult precisely when it's needed most. Backup navigation systems still rely on traditional skills that many modern sailors haven't fully mastered, creating a situation where advanced technology and traditional methods must work together to ensure survival. Early warning systems, while significantly improved in recent decades, still struggle to accurately predict extreme conditions in the North Sea. Weather models may predict relatively calm conditions, only for severe storms to develop within hours. This unpredictability has forced the development of extremely strict safety protocols, where operations may be suspended based on forecasts that, to an outside observer, may appear overly cautious. Rescue operations in the North Sea pose some of the most extreme challenges faced by emergency responders anywhere in the world. Rescue helicopters must operate in conditions that test the limits of their flight capabilities. Violent crosswinds, near-zero visibility, and the need to maintain precise position over moving targets make every rescue mission a high-risk operation. Rescue vessels face their own unique challenges. The same conditions that created the original emergency also make approaching rescue vessels extremely dangerous. Large waves can easily cause collisions between vessels, potentially turning a rescue operation into an even greater tragedy. Rescue divers operating in these waters are true modern-day heroes. They must contend not only with extreme surface conditions, but also with powerful underwater currents, low visibility, and water temperatures that can cause hypothermia in minutes. Specialized cold water diving equipment is essential, but even with the best technology available, these operations remain extraordinarily dangerous. Human psychology also plays a crucial role in the dangers of the North Sea. Prolonged isolation on oil rigs, combined with the constant stress of working in a hostile environment, can lead to significant mental health problems. Depression, anxiety, and even psychotic episodes are not unheard of among long-term workers on these facilities. The feeling of being completely at the mercy of uncontrollable natural forces can be psychologically devastating. Workers report recurring nightmares about storms and giant waves, even when they're on dry land. A phenomenon known as post-traumatic stress syndrome is common among veterans of North Sea operations. Fatigue caused by long shifts and stressful working conditions also contributes significantly to accidents. When you're operating heavy equipment or making critical safety decisions, mental exhaustion can be as dangerous as any storm. Specific labor regulations had to be developed to address these unique challenges. Technological advancements have brought significant improvements in safety, but they have also created new types of hazards. Complex automated systems can fail in unexpected ways, especially when subjected to the extreme conditions of the North Sea. Over-reliance on technology can lead to the loss of traditional navigation and survival skills that can be crucial when electronic systems fail. Personal protective equipment has also evolved dramatically. Modern survival suits can keep a person alive in icy waters for hours, compared to the mere minutes of survival that were typical in the past. However, this equipment is only effective if it is being used correctly at the time of the accident. And the sudden nature of many emergencies in the North Sea means there isn't always time to properly equip oneself. The economics of North Sea operations have created unique pressures that can sometimes compromise safety. Oil and gas exploration in these waters requires massive investment, and there is constant pressure to maximize production and minimize downtime. This economic pressure can lead to decisions that prioritize production over safety, especially when weather conditions are marginally acceptable for operations. The cost of maintaining safe operations in the North Sea is extraordinary. Each oil platform represents an investment of billions of dollars, not only in initial construction, but also in ongoing maintenance and safety measures. Emergency escape systems, specialized lifeboats, redundant communications equipment, and rescue teams on constant standby. All of this adds significant operational costs. Insurance for North Sea operations is among the most expensive in the world. Insurance companies have developed extremely sophisticated risk models specifically for these waters, taking into account not only natural hazards, but also factors such as crew experience, equipment age, and the operating company's safety record. The international regulation of operations in the North Sea is a complex maze of differing national jurisdictions. Waters belonging to Norway have different regulations than those of the United Kingdom or Denmark, but accidents do not respect maritime boundaries. This has led to the development of international cooperation protocols for emergencies, but coordination between different national agencies during crises can still be challenging. Environmental treaties also add layers of complexity to operations. The North Sea is home to unique and sensitive marine ecosystems, and oil spills or other industrial accidents can have devastating environmental consequences that persist for decades. The pressure to balance economic activity with environmental protection sometimes creates situations where safety decisions must consider not only human lives, but also long-term ecological impacts. Scientific research in the North Sea has revealed fascinating secrets about why these waters are so dangerous. Oceanographic studies have shown that underwater currents in this region are far more complex than previously thought. Currents of varying temperatures and densities intertwine in three-dimensional patterns that can change rapidly, creating surface conditions that are virtually impossible to predict with complete accuracy. The geology of the seafloor also contributes to hazards in subtle but significant ways. Unstable sediment deposits can collapse without warning, creating underwater waves that propagate to the surface. Smaller seismic activity, which may not be detected by standard equipment, can destabilize underwater structures or alter current patterns. Unique atmospheric phenomena have also been identified over the North Sea. The interaction between air masses of different temperatures can create extremely localized microclimates, where conditions can vary dramatically within distances of just a few kilometers. This means that one oil rig may be experiencing relatively calm conditions, while a neighboring facility is being buffeted by storm force winds. Tides in the North Sea are another complicating factor contributing to its dangerous reputation. Tidal differences can be extreme, and the interaction between high tides and storms can create truly devastating wave conditions. The phenomenon known as storm surge, where strong winds push water toward the coast, can raise sea levels far beyond those predicted by normal tide tables. Tidal currents can also create dangerous navigational situations. During tidal changes, currents can reach speeds that make vessel control extremely difficult, especially when combined with adverse weather conditions. Vessels can be swept into shallow waters or industrial structures before crews can regain control. The North Sea's biodiversity, while fascinating, also presents unique dangers. Massive algae blooms can create toxic conditions that affect both marine life and human operations. Some algae species produce toxins that can be carried by the wind, posing health risks to workers on nearby platforms. Seasonal changes in marine life populations can also create unexpected dangers. Massive migrations of certain fish species can attract larger predators, including shark species that don't normally frequent these waters. Migrating whales can pose risks to smaller vessels, especially when the animals are disoriented by industrial activity. The long-term consequences of intensive human activity in the North Sea are only beginning to be understood. Decades of oil exploration have left a legacy of pollution that continues to affect marine ecosystems. Abandoned structures on the seabed can become traps for marine life or hazards to navigation. Climate change is altering the North Sea's traditional weather patterns in ways that could make it even more dangerous in the future. Rising ocean temperatures are altering established currents, potentially creating new weather patterns that are even more unpredictable than current ones. Rising sea levels are also changing coastal dynamics around the North Sea. Accelerated erosion can alter underwater topography, creating new navigational hazards. Storms that could previously be contained by natural coastal features can now penetrate deeper inland, creating new wave and current patterns. The accumulated human experience of working in these dangerous waters has created a unique culture of respect and caution. Veteran North Sea sailors have developed an almost supernatural intuition for detecting subtle changes in conditions that may precede greater dangers. This practical wisdom, passed down from generation to generation of maritime workers, remains one of the most important aspects of safety in these waters. Rituals and traditions developed over decades of operations reflect the deep respect those working in these waters have for their destructive power. Simple ceremonies performed before dangerous operations, safety checks that go far beyond regulatory requirements, and the maintenance of emergency equipment in perfect condition, all part of a culture that recognizes that, in the North Sea, inadequate preparation can be literally fatal. Stories passed down among workers serve not only as entertainment, but also as vital safety lessons. Accounts of narrowly avoided accidents, detailed descriptions of how seemingly minor conditions developed into major emergencies, and careful analysis of decisions that made the difference between life and death. This oral tradition remains one of the most effective forms of safety education. The future of North Sea operations will likely see significant technological advances that could improve safety, but also pose new challenges. Artificial intelligence systems for weather prediction can provide more accurate warnings of dangerous conditions, but they can also create over-reliance on technology that can fail at the most critical moment. Advanced robotics can reduce the need for human presence in particularly hazardous operations, but it can also create new types of risks related to the maintenance and operation of complex systems in hostile environments. The transition to renewable energy, including massive offshore wind farms, is creating new types of infrastructure that must be designed to withstand the same extreme conditions that made oil operations so dangerous. Worker education and training continues to evolve to address the unique challenges of the North Sea. Highly sophisticated simulators can recreate storm and emergency conditions with stunning realism, allowing workers to practice safety procedures in a controlled environment before facing real-world conditions. Specialized survival training includes not only cold water survival techniques, but also psychological aspects of coping with isolation and extreme stress. It is recognized that mental preparation is as important as physical preparation for surviving the extreme conditions that can be encountered in these waters. The North Sea remains one of the most challenging and dangerous working environments on the planet. Despite decades of technological advancements, safety improvements, and accumulated experience, these waters continue to demand the utmost respect and preparation from those who dare to work on their stormy surface. The unique combination of extreme natural conditions, intense industrial activity, and the fundamental unpredictability of a hostile marine environment ensures that the North Sea will maintain its reputation as one of the deadliest waters on Earth. Each person who works these waters becomes part of a tradition of courage, skill, and respect for natural forces that will continue as long as humanity needs the resources the North Sea offers. It's a constant reminder that, despite all our technological advancements, there are still places on Earth where nature maintains absolute control, and where human survival depends on a combination of meticulous preparation, advanced technology, and a little luck everyone hopes will never be needed.